was at Zama, I finally got orders sending me to some outpost of General MacArthur's command. It turned out to be Marbo, M-A-R-B-O. Marbo stands for Marianas Bonins because there are two island chains. One is the Marianas Island chain and the other is the Bonin Island chain. Well, I was sent to the Marianas Island chain, which consists of Saipan, Tinian, and Guam. Saipan and Tinian had been awarded to Japan after the First World War, and Guam, of course, was a United States possession. Well, I was on Guam, but from time to time, as a chemical officer, I had to go to Saipan and Tinian. The reason I had to go to Saipan is because the Chemical Corps had a large storage facility on that island full of toxic chemicals that were going to be used against the Japanese if the Japanese used chemical weapons against us. But of course, you know, it's illegal to use chemical weapons, but we also had a large supply of high explosives because the chemical mortar, which had a diameter of 4 inches for chemical shells, was also used for high explosives. As a matter of fact, the chemical mortar used for high explosives turned out to be so effective that the Army at that time had a platoon of chemical mortars that were just using high explosives. Well, as I said, from time to time, as a chemical officer, I had to go to Saipan to see if everything was all right in the chemical depot. Well, interestingly enough, one day there was a big explosion on the island of Saipan that wiped out all of the chemical weapons and all of the ordnance that was on the island. Well, as a part of the Marbo Command, we also had access to Tinian. Tinian had a large airfield that was used for the airplanes that raided Tokyo, including the famous Enola Gay that carried the atomic bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. While I was on Guam as a chemical officer, we were attached to the Ordnance Department. And from time to time, we would have meetings with the ordnance people. Well, one day, much to my surprise, the ordnance officer, the colonel who was in charge of the ordnance depot, said, you know, we have decided that what we want to do is to send you to West Point. Well, I was absolutely amazed because I'm really not a military person. But they said they thought that I would do a good job at West Point. I said to them, you know, I'm not eligible to go there because I'm nearsighted. I have to wear glasses because in those days my vision was not so good. I needed glasses. Interestingly enough, today I can see without those glasses, so my vision has improved. But anyway, I told them, you know, I really am not eligible to go to West Point because I have to wear glasses. They said, don't worry about it, we will get an exemption for you. Well, that was very nice of them, but I told them, I said, you know, what I really want to do is to go back to the university. They said, well, you could study at West Point. I said, no, I'd rather study at a non-military university. Anyway, I continued with my work on the island of Guam. We had a chemical depot there. I can remember one incident. We had something like 250,000 gas respirators. And at that time, we were trying to help the Chinese nationalists. So one of the things that we did is we gave these 250,000 dust respirators to the Chinese to be used in their offensive against the Chinese communists, which of course they eventually lost.